Welcome to Caffeinated Conspiracies, where mysteries, conspiracies, and the unexplained come to life. Grab your favourite brew and get ready for a mind-bending journey through the extraordinary.
I'm Omar, and
I'm Glenn, and together we're your hosts as we sip on curiosity and explore the enigmatic.
In each episode, we'll dive deep into the unknown, unravelling tales of intrigue and shedding light on the secrets that have baffled the world for centuries.
we're not just here to tell you the stories.
We're here to question them, dissect them, and invite you to join the conversation.
So, brew your curiosity, prepare to be captivated, and let's embark on this caffeinated adventure together.
This is Caffeinated Conspiracies.
And we're your guides through the uncharted.
Grab your coffee and let's dive in.
Today we're exploring the intriguing mysteries of Oak Island, a small piece of land off Nova Scotian coast. Dating back to 1795, the island has sparked tales of hidden treasure and ancient secrets. Whether you're a seasoned treasure hunter, history buff, or just love a good mystery with a cup of Java, this episode promises to dig up to... why can't I say any of it today? I'm so glad this is like we're taking a break for a while. Okay. Whether you're a seasoned treasure hunter, history buff, or just love a good mystery with a cup of Java, this episode promises to dig up history and intrigue. So join us in unraveling the secret buried deep within Oak Island, where the only thing deeper than the mysteries is the bottom of your coffee mug.
Damn, that was chilling. I like that. That was beautiful. That was... Yes, welcome back to Caffeinated Conspiracies. I've actually lost track of what episode this is because we're not recording in order, so we're all over the show. But this is a big one. This is one I've wanted to do since we were back on our old podcast many years ago. I've always wanted to look at this story, the story of Oak Island. Oh man, I'm so glad you allowed me to do this one. But as you said there, at that intro bit there was a lot to take in and a lot to sort of dissect, and I think maybe it sort of piqued some people's curiosity straight away. We did mention Oak Island in season 1 when we talked about Ark of the Covenant, but I don't want to go too much into that just yet. We will discuss that a bit further in the episode. One thing I do need to point out, and I will put a video up of this one, is as I am sat here drinking coffee, Omer is drinking wine.
Yeah.
Omer this week has brought some class and sophistication to the show.
I'll hold a pinky up too.
Omer's drinking wine, I'm drinking coffee from my favourite Marillion mug. For those who don't know who Marillion are, look them up, they're good. So, Oak Island, where to start? First off, where did your research take you in regards to this?
So I'm kind of relying on you for this one for some of the strange things that come out of the place. But from the research I've seen, or done so far,
how much wine have you had?
Not enough is the problem. But from when it first got found, every small thing that people found there just seemed to spark a new conspiracy theory or mystery or something else. So it's not saying Oak Island is one conspiracy or one mystery is not true. It's multiple, just all seem to entangled into each other.
Oh yeah. There is a series that is on the History Channel, I believe. I have been watching it. I have watched it for a fair few years. I'm a bit behind at the moment because I've not had a chance to catch up. Called The Curse of Oak Island, which is about two brothers and a whole fellowship of people looking for this treasure buried on Oak Island. They are, at this moment in time, and not to spoil anything in the episode, still looking for treasure at this moment in time. They have spent tens of millions of dollars looking for treasure on this island. They have found pieces, which we will go into. Rick and Marty Lagina, if you want to look them up, like I say, they've purchased majority of the island. It's privately owned. They own quite a lot of the lots on there, and they've teamed up with other people that have been on the island for so many years looking for this treasure. And all I can say is we think they're close to a breakthrough. We really do. Those that watch the series and know what's going on. But like I say, I don't want to spoil it too much. I do want to go into the story because, like I say, just telling you that doesn't give anything away. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. So, as we do every week, I'll go through a little bit of the background of what's going on. So, Oak Island first garnered intrigue soon after the golden age of piracy, which was roughly around about 1650 to 1730, when Edward Lowe and Bartholomew Roberts patrolled the seas northeast of the Americas. In 1795, a Nova Scotia teenager reportedly saw strange lights hovering over the island from his home on the mainland. He got two of his friends and they rowed over to investigate. In the copse of the trees in the southeastern side of the island, the boys found a 13-foot wide depression surrounded by loose soil, young trees, and signs that the ground had been disturbed. So the boys began to dig, and what would be known as the money pit. 2 feet down, they found a circle of stones bordering the circumference, and then at 10 feet, they found a platform of cut timbers that fit into the sides of the pit. The second platform, 20 feet down, but that's where the account of the first search ends. So literally, they dug 20 feet down. Bearing in mind, they're pretty much just using shovels to dig this. They've got this.
These are teenagers.
These are teenagers. This is like I say, this is 1795. There's no like proper machines to start digging stuff. They've dug 20 feet. I don't know how long they were digging for. It doesn't say. And like I say, it doesn't really go too much into it because obviously the documentation from then, I don't think there's much of it around. But
there's nothing until I think it's 60 years later when you start getting the official recounts of it.
Exactly.
But not nothing between then.
Exactly. So the story, as you said, resumes sort of early 1800s when the Onslow Company embarked on the first official expedition to excavate the discovery. They picked up where the first dig left off, finding more platforms every 10 feet. Sometimes there was layers of putty, charcoal, and here's the interesting one, coconut fibres. Coconuts aren't native to Nova Scotia. In fact, the nearest coconut tree is about 900 miles away from Nova Scotia. So straight away, that rang alarm bells to me, is what the hell are they using coconut fibres for? And the great thing is that I've got this little bit of information because I've watched some of the series, and it's used to sort of, when water comes through and things like that, it's to clear out all the dirt, so it acts as like a sieve, collecting all the dirt and the rubbish and things like that, which I think is very clever. But as they carried on digging down, the story alleges that the crew made more monumental discoveries at 90 feet, where a rectangular stone inscribed with strange markings. Researchers and the treasure hunters dismissed the markings as being made by excavators' tools by mistake, but others were certain that the secret code leading to buried treasure. In the 1860s, a professor of languages from Nova Scotia's university examined the stone and determined that the code was a substitution cipher saying 40 feet below £2 million are buried. But another attempt of the translation in the 1970s interpreted it as a Coptic Christian warning not to forget your duty to the Lord. Now, as you said in the intro bit, there's the story of the Knights Templar in this, there's stories of pirates, there's stories of all sorts. Bearing in mind, just to sort of put one thing into sort of context, Nova Scotia actually means New Scotland. So it's that they're saying that the Vikings from Scotland sailed over and sort of found Nova Scotia, and that's where they landed. They built a home there, and obviously that's what they had. Oak Island, they say, did actually have oak trees back in the day. Now, if you go there today, there are no oak trees. They've been wiped out by, I believe, grey ants, I believe it was, that I read about. So, but it's still got the name Oak Island. And just all this, just that bit where some lads found a hole, dug it up, and the next minute they're finding platforms every 10 feet until they get down to a bottom part where they find a giant stone. Now, there's still speculation of whether the stone actually says what it says, because, to be fair, there's no photographic evidence of the stone, and the stone quickly went missing. Now, just off that, obviously I've not gone into full detail at the moment. Where's your mind leading you at the moment, Omer? Because, like I said, you don't know much about Oak Island, so for you, this is like a whole new episode as well. It's like when we had the episode with my sister on, and she completely forgot she was actually on the episode.
My favourite thing is when I was reading this bit, I was like, is this the premise of Lost?
Pretty much, yeah, this is where it comes from.
I was like, this is definitely where they took like a lot of the story from. Because it's just like secret hatch goes down into the unknown, and like you can't figure out what's going on.
Well,
on that stone was written the winning lottery numbers.
Don't, mate, don't. Those numbers haunt me still. We're going into it, like I say, the Onslow Company kept digging, and at 98 feet, this is where it gets interesting, they hit what sounded like a hollow container. Assumed to be a treasure vault, the crew stopped work for the evening, but when they returned in the morning, they had found the pit had filled with 60 feet of water. It was as though their digging had triggered a booby trap. The flooding seems to have ended the Onslow's effort, and the company dissolved in 1805. I mean, that's a bummer. It's like you've hit something, you're like, right, I wouldn't have stopped. I don't care how late it was. You've been digging for God knows how long, and you're like, right, we've hit something. It sounds hollow. Sounds like wood. Let's get into it. And the next day you get there and it's flooded. You'd be devastated. I bet they were. Well, I mean, they dissolved at one point. The whole company just went bust. I mean, I don't know about you. I'd carry on.
But they couldn't, because their two options were either dive into it where you haven't got the correct pressure suits to send a small person in. Back then, like...
No, that's the thing. I would have stopped before the water had come in. I would have kept digging. So if they've hit a booby trap or something, I would have carried on digging until that water was coming in.
So you got to like bucket and pail it at that point.
Yeah. But, I mean, it goes on even more. Again, another expedition to Oak Island launched from a nearby town of Truro in 1849. The crew was reportedly able to bail out the water in the pit and reinforce the walls before drilling into the vault. The drill penetrated successive layers of wood and loose metal, suggesting the treasure chest, and according to the newspaper's account, published years later, surfaced 3 small links of gold chains. But before the crew could assess the vault, the bottom in the money pit collapsed and flooded again, taking the presumed treasure with it. Again, devastated. You're there. Every time it just seems that these people have literally got the hand on it. They've put their hand on it and someone's gone, nope, and taken it away. You know, like when your parents used to give you, like, try and give you a biscuit and they go, nope, and pull it away from you, and you just get really annoyed because you're just trying to grab that biscuit and they just keep pulling it away from you. That's what this is like. Is that they're trying to, basically they're finding this treasure, they've put the hand on it, they're going for it, and then next minute it's gone. So if that was you in their position, how would you feel?
I'd be the opposite. I wouldn't be frustrated I'd be frustrated it'd keep going, but it'd tell me there's something worth looking for. Otherwise, why would you put so much like work into hiding it and booby trapping it?
Yeah. Now, obviously, this whole thing about the vault, we still don't know whether that's real. Now, the series has believed that they found the vault, but they can't get into it and they can't actually get to it because it has shifted over the years. Don't forget, this was 1849. When they found it, I believe it was 2018 that they believe that they found it. Now, they found that the sediment underneath the island is moving. So this vault has moved away from where it was originally. And don't forget, you've got all this water that's flooded in. It's sort of mixing everything up under there and just moved it. So where these people were digging for gold, there's no guarantee that it's there anymore. And I think that's the bit that sort of would annoy me, knowing that everything is sort of getting mixed up down there.
The fact that the vault was still there begs a question then. Because if the sediment below the island's moving, and what was it, 1840 till like recent, you're talking what, 180 years? My math may be off there, someone can call me out. The kids who found the patch of the depressed and the new trees, which means it was dug and buried before they found it for new trees to have grown. So we're talking a couple of years before they found it. So it's been over 60 years it was under there, which means wouldn't it have already shifted before they started digging?
More than likely.
So was the hatch the one that was meant to be over it?
Good point. Good point.
Because one of the other things about the island is there's more than one sinkhole or possible.
There's quite a few.
Point.
Yeah, there's quite a few. And this is where this bit goes into it now. So I do apologise for those listening. It is quite long-winded, but like I say, this is one that I would love to have done maybe 2 episodes on this.
Because it's not one mystery.
No, I'm trying to fit as much as I can into one episode here. So please do bear with us. There is a point to it all. So undeterred, the crew believed they had found a flood tunnel that channeled water to the pit from the man-made Smith's Cove, which was approximately 500 feet east of the dig site. Digging at Smith's Cove revealed 5 rock-lined sort of pathways that basically went out in like a finger sort of shape, and literally they were the box tunnels. And what they were doing is they were sort of feeding water down into what they believe is the booby traps, and this is where they sort of put everything together and believe that these drains are the ones that are sort of causing all the water to flow into sort of the money pit. Now, the Choro company dug shafts to intercept this, with no success. Around this time, the first reports of the Oak Island curse appeared. Now, the origins of the curse are a bit muddled. Decades between the search began to where we are now, it's a little bit out of whack, but it was first recorded fatality tied to Oak Island treasure is dated in the early 1860s when a steam-powered pump used to drain the money pit exploded, killing 1 man. Now, basically, the curse is that 7 people must die or lose their lives in the hunt for the treasure to be revealed. At this current moment, it's 6 that have died in pursuit of the treasure. Those that have died of natural causes don't count because they haven't.
I was going to say, because I had a death count way higher.
No, because they haven't died in general pursuit of the treasure. Bearing in mind there was people that lived on the island that have been hunting for the treasure, but they got to an age where they couldn't carry on and they have passed on due to natural causes and things like that. They don't count because they haven't died in pursuit of the treasure. So basically they're saying like if you listen to the way other people were killed, it does sound like the island was fighting back a little bit, basically.
Is this like physical pursuit of the treasure? Like, do I have to be digging and die, or could I be like theorizing and die and still be counted as one of them?
I think you sort of have to be like physically on the island hunting it with a shovel in your hand, sort of like one of them white tank tops with the sort of a helmet on with the torchlight on the front. You know, that sort of scene from Zoolander where he's just like walking through the tunnel, just sort of like, yeah. If you're looking like that, then yeah, you're in pursuit of the treasure. So, as the news of the dangerous, dramatic hunt spread, Oak Island attracted more excursions. I'm sorry, but if you're told that 7 people must die before the treasure is revealed, I wouldn't want to go. I'd be like, no, I'm good, thanks.
I'd be offering a sacrifice. We got 6 with 1 down. Like, what's another one?
I know my luck, right? I fell up the stairs the other day. That was just general walking up the stairs. I walk onto Oak Island. I'm the one who's going to be dying, so it ain't happening. Searchers in 1897 unearthed a tiny piece of parchment bearing what appears to be letters VI. Specialists at the Harvard University confirmed the parchment's authenticity, though it's unclear whether that it's meant it was authentically a folio full of secrets or scraps from early inhabitants of the island. 1897 is also notable for bringing about the second hunt-related death, when a man fell to his death, and then 4 more fatalities as a result of noxious underground fumes followed in 1965. So
that's why you always take a canary.
So as of today, the History Channel's Curse of Oak Island hosts Rick and Mark Lagina use I can't even fucking say the word. Seismic, that's it. Testing ground-penetrating radar, drilling, and dye tests. So instead of just going straight in and digging, they're actually using modern technology to find if there are certain areas that are... When they go underground, if you can see if there's like a hollow shaft that they can get through. As they've dug boreholes, they've actually found chunks of wood that show that there were... that predate sort of the Oslo company. So basically, someone has built shafts down there looking for, or basically building the money pit in general. And I mean, and they've been doing this for quite a few years now, and they have lost quite a few people along the way. Now,
so there's more than 7 now.
Well, no, there weren't people that were in active pursuit. These are people, like I say, have died of natural causes and things like that.
I thought you were going to say they just got lost. They went down there, never came back out. They could still be alive down there for all we know.
Mate, I've seen episodes where they send divers down under the water, and they've gone through like little caves and things like that, and they found what they believed was a person. And I was proper freaked out because, bearing in mind, I was watching this. I started watching Oak Island. I lived by myself, and I remember this one period where I had the flu, and I was watching sort of like NASA's unexplained files, and I started freaking myself out a little bit because I just got really paranoid with the flu. And then this one day I was watching this documentary about aliens, and as I'm looking out the window, I could see the moon. And I'm looking directly at the moon, and I'm thinking, right, what if there's someone on the moon looking at me, looking at the moon, watching a documentary about aliens? I'm next. And I freaked myself out, so I thought, no, right, I'll start watching things about aliens, and I'll watch Oak Island. Again, bad idea, because I started having like fever dreams. They found what they believed looked like a body when they were down there, and they got all this camera down there to have a look. It's like, oh, we found a body, we're going to send a diver down to have a look.
That was in the 1960s, wasn't it?
That was originally, they found a hand that floated by on a camera.
And a shoe.
But they actually sent a diver down, and he got through into the thingy. And when he got there, it was a perfect outline of a person, but it was a rock. And I didn't see that episode until like a few weeks after I'd had the flu. And I was freaking out at this person that died down there. I don't know why. And I'm like, oh God, what if that was me? I don't like tight spaces. I don't like caves. I don't like water. I'm going to die. No. And I just freaked myself out. Just as I do.
What if it was a weeping angel?
Don't. Do not bring the weeping angels into this.
I mean, until it was seen, it wasn't moving.
Yeah. So obviously with Oak Island, there is so much exploration. I mean, there's not just the money pit. There is the cove, as I said before. There's the swamp, which in the most recent seasons of Oak Island, they've literally drained the swamp and found a brick road underneath it that leads up into sort of like a dock that's not there. They've actually unearthed this dock that used to be there, where ships would have come up. They found bits of coins and treasures that would have like fallen off wagons as they were carrying them up these roads up into the money pit. So there is evidence that there is something there. Whether it's still there is a different matter. Is this just a whole way of selling this documentary to make people watch it year after year when they're on season 10 now, I believe, or season 8, 9 or 10. They're somewhere around about that area. And it still keeps going on. Now, I do know the Lagina brothers, they have like money in gas and electric over in the States and in Canada. And obviously, like they're sort of like multimillionaires, and they're using their own money to fund this expedition. You know, they're not sort of going to anybody going, look, this is what we're doing, give us money so that we can dig for you and find your artifacts. Whatever they find is theirs to an extent. There's bits of it where they found rural life that would have been there prior to the money pit being discovered, or prior to the money pit actually being built, that they've found out that they're not allowed to touch certain parts of the land. Even though they own it, they're not allowed to touch it. They've had to bring in specialist archaeologists to work with them. And it's just, the whole story is fantastic and it's so interesting. And more and more of it, the more I read into it, the more I go into it, is, was it pirates? Because people are saying it was Captain Kidd's treasure.
So that's that's the thing. This is where it like falls into all the things that it could have been, because it's not just pirates that everyone's saying was there. Pirates, it started with Captain Kidd. Everyone was like, oh, there was something that Captain Kidd said or did that said that he buried his treasure there. One recount that somebody said they overheard Blackbeard saying he buried treasure in the similar area.
There was
and then it just
a British one as well. He wasn't a pirate. He was a privateer.
Which is what pirates were before they were pirates.
Was it? I thought
so he was a pre-pirate pirate.
Yeah. And he apparently put treasure on the island as well. But then it goes even further back. So have you got any more in regards to the pirates?
Pirates-wise, that's where mine ended.
Well, the next one is the Knights Templar. And it's not even the fact that... It's not even the fact... It's not even the fact that they were the Knights Templar. Basically, it was a branch of the Knights Templar from Scotland.
It wouldn't have been... but it wouldn't have been the official Knights.
Well, this is where it gets interesting, because now we're going way off into like the Freemasons. Apparently, there's parts of the Freemasons that sort of still blend into the
so
Knights,
after the Knights Templars got disbanded, a lot of them turned into some of the Freemasons.
Yes.
So they were Freemasons at the time.
Don't forget, though, a lot of the treasure that the Templars, and this, people can look this up, it did go missing. Lots of treasure did go missing that the Templar Knights had conquered and taken for the church, basically. And when they were all told that they were going to be pretty much slaughtered, some managed to escape. And what they'd done is they took the treasure and did one, and they went missing. And so did all this treasure, and it's never been found. No one knows where it is, what it was, or where it's disappeared to. And that's where the theory comes in, because they found I believe it was around about the second, maybe third season of Oak Island, they found a lead cross. And they've gone to other places where, I believe they went to France and to one of the churches, and the exact outline is engraved in the wall, exactly the same as the lead cross. Now, obviously, it could just be that someone's made this, but as they've dated the lead,
could also be a standardized thing. So that same lead cross would have filtered multiple reliefs.
Now, with the lead cross, because you can't carbon date lead, but they have taken bits of it and found other elements within the lead where it's been folded over that they have found, and there's like copper, there's gold, and they've found that they can basically find that, and it does date to around about the time of the Templars, which again, as sort of a video game fan and an Assassin's Creed fan, that just sort of like proper perked my curiosity and just sort of brought me into it. And I love reading things about the Knights Templar and things like that, and there's so many books on Oak Island and just so much about it that has fascinated me for so many years. And I just think there's still a lot there that we don't know about. Now, what we will do is, I think we've gone on a bit about the story. Let's get into some of the theories and some of the ideas that are out there and that we have. So before that, we are going to take a very quick break.
And welcome back as we keep digging into the mysteries of Oak Island.
I wish we were digging, mate. I wish we were there helping them. Thank you, Bev.
I feel like I'm past the age of manual labour.
Oh yeah, no. I'd sit in one of them things and just sort of like dig it up. I won't get out and dig with my hands.
Am I doing it like an archaeologist? Like, am I just like brushing the end bit off? Somebody else has done the heavy work. I'm just there.
You're just dusting it down at the end. Yeah, I'll do that. I've got one of them, the little Hoover things, handheld vacuum things. I'll just do that on the dirt and just sort of blow it away. There you go. And then you can flip it around. It's got a brush on the other end to Hoover. So there we go. That's me sorted.
I'd be in for that. I'd do this. But yeah, so it wasn't just Captain Kidd. We've talked about the other. There's treasure there that's assumed from the Knights Templar. Marie Antoinette.
Yep.
The Truth of Shakespeare.
Yep.
And then what was the other one that I saw?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, the parchment that they found. They believe obviously it's like the full works of Shakespeare buried under the ground.
Which proves Shakespeare. That we'll go into that in a bit more detail in a sec. Because each of these, like, they're their own thing. Like
There's
the Knights
so
Templars
much.
and the Pirates. Marie Antoinette's thing separate.
We do need to make it aware that this is literally all speculation. There is no evidence in regards to anything. As they have dug quite a fair bit and they've been digging up like small boreholes, as they're pulling stuff out, they have pulled out quite a fair bit of parchment and leather binding. So they've basically found something that would be a book under there that has been destroyed. But the parchment, when they bring it out, it comes out wet because it's been in water. But as they're bringing it out and they're drying it off, you've still got some really good pieces there, and they have managed to sort of put some pages together. But obviously, we don't know what's down there. We don't know how many books they found down there. That's why they're digging it at the moment. They've literally put a giant metal tubing down there, and they're digging further and further down so they can actually try and find something. But yeah, that's where they are at the moment.
Something, everything's speculation. But
everything.
So we've got the pirates. Multiple pirates who are believed to have buried their treasure there because it was around like where they were sailing at the time, and it was a good place to hide it because it's still the New World. Not a lot of people had been over there yet.
Apparently, it was because that the island was recognisable, so they'd be able to see it. Because bearing in mind, back then it did have the giant oak trees on it, so it would have stood out a bit from the sea, and they would have seen it. And the land around it was a lot smoother to sail. So it would have been quite easy to sail up to it, get everything out, put it on the island. Great, we've got all these oak trees. We'll build some more trees around it so we know what we're looking for when we come back, and bugger off.
Which, with pirates being there, explain the coconut fibres thing that you mentioned earlier, because it was used as the rope for the rigging of a lot of ships back then. The Knights Templar one was a theory of Templars getting there because items were found with like the lead cross, some Masonic writing.
They found coins. They found like the designs as well of things. There's boulders on the island that actually make a cross. The way that they are split out across the island. And obviously the cross being probably one of the biggest symbols of the Knights Templar, and the things that they wore on their chest was the bright red cross. So, I mean, that sort of stands out as well. Again, that is in a way sort of jump into speculation, because
I like the idea of putting them two together.
Yeah.
Because the Knights Templar were before the days, before the dates of the privateers and pirates.
Yeah.
Pirates then, while, England's at war with everyone else, privateers, pirates were going out and plundering everything. They picked up Templar treasures.
Yep.
Because chances are they probably did plunder a boat of theirs or two that was still around. Or just, found it. And they took it all. So the pirates took all that treasure there. Sounds better than a bunch of Templars who were technically disbanded, like, what was that? I'm sure I've got it in my notes. They were disbanded, 1312? And, like, the Americas weren't sailable till, like, 1620. So you've got like a 300 years between them.
But don't forget, though, they haven't gone to the Americas. They've gone to Canada. Nova Scotia is in Canada.
I know where, but it's still like the new world. And
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
we'd been there, but there wasn't like standardized travel there in
yeah.
any way, shape, or form. You weren't getting there easily. The only people who'd really made it was the Norwegians, but they like stopped in Greenland to get there. And you're talking about someone who didn't stop in Greenland and just made a straight travel there, which the first straight travel didn't happen until like the 1600s.
Yeah.
So if they got there without going somewhere else because they would have got in trouble for it, it would have been somewhere around there
Yeah, I know what you mean.
or after. So you've already gone and taken their treasure and dropped it there. Because a few of the claims that I've read, and I'm not sure if you've seen the same ones, say that because the Knights Templars did lose a lot of things, and the two most famous things lost was the
Two
Holy Grail and the Ark of the Covenant.
two things that we mentioned in
You've
season
already
1.
covered. Yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. I mean, that just blows all the theories that we had on those episodes out of the water as to where they could be. I mean, I'm pretty sure at one point we said that the Holy Grail was at Glastonbury. You know, just sort of buried somewhere in a
Feels
field.
like something.
But now we've got a theory that it could be buried on Oak Island somewhere. So what do you think they've done? Found the Ark of the Covenant, found the Holy Grail, and gone, you know what, just lift the chest up, let's chuck this inside, and let's bury it here on this island.
But they wouldn't have put, like, the Ark of the Covenant in itself is a giant chest. It's not small.
No.
So
that could be the hollow chest that they believe they found.
Oh, I don't. Something on that one throws me. Holy Grail, I'm still in the belief it didn't exist. But if we're saying it existed and it's a cup, easily could have been taken there. No one would have even noticed. It's literally a cup, no bigger than this.
Yep.
So yeah, easily taken.
Yeah.
The Ark of the Covenant, though, I mean, its ornate lid in itself would not degrade over that time.
No. But like I say as well, they have,
And then,
as they've dug like little small boreholes, they have found chunks of wood, and that do sort of show us that there is a shaft. They have built tunnels under the island, so they are there. We've got the proof that there are tunnels there. We've done, the ground penetrating radar where they found that there are caves under the island that do show hollow areas, and it's just a matter of getting to them. It's not as easy as literally digging up some land and getting underneath. I mean, back in the day it probably would have been, but they didn't have the technology that they have now. And I suppose back then you literally could just dig, but obviously there's treasure finding laws, so they're only allowed to dig so much. You're only allowed to remove so much of the earth, and basically even when you finish digging, you've got to put it all back. It's not a matter of being able to dig it up and launch it somewhere else and leave it. You have to put it back. These are the laws. They're Nova Scotian laws, a lot of them as well. And it's not like maritime law where basically you find anything at sea, you can keep it. That's your salvage, basically. It's completely different when it's on land. And that's the bit I find interesting, that if they went under the island instead and went underwater, would it count that they found it under the sea instead? Or would it be that they found it under the island?
oh, no, because they don't look at the sea as a curve going under. They see the sea as a straight line. So as soon where your coastline is, that's the split between your land and the sea.
So if you dug at the coastline going under the sea, does that still count as being in the sea?
No, because that line is like a vertical line, not at an angle. They count anything that way as land, even though if you go under, it's not land, and anything that way is sea. So if they find something just outside, put under the water,
they have.
I'm sure
they have gone out into sea to find things.
I'm sure it's something like 50 meters, out. Is still cast as coastline because you can still have a coastline dipping before it actually becomes sea. So it's like there's a lot of that still sort of covers sort of Nova Scotian law.
Yeah.
And it's only one side that's technically sea, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other sides are technically like bays and embankments, stuff like that.
They've built a man-made road that connects to Oak Island, but that was so they could literally bring in trucks, wagons, and things like that to bring digging equipment, drilling equipment, to make it easy. Whereas originally, like I say, the teenage boys at the start had to sort of like row over instead of just sort of taking the road over. So this was built so long after, probably around about the time that the Oslo company came along and brought in their sort of steam-powered digging rigs and things like that. They would have needed a way to get over that wasn't by water, and that's obviously where they've built this man-made road. Now, let's get into some of the theories. Now, obviously, we've touched on a few there. I mean, let's go straight off onto pirates have buried that. Basically, it was pirate treasure. Sort of Captain Kidd, probably one of the most well-known pirates behind Blackbeard and things like that. Basically, took all his fleets. We know that he buried some treasure just off the coast of New York. We know that was found, I believe. But obviously, this on Oak Island has never been found. Now, what do you think? Do you think it's believable that it was pirates? She's taking
what she was giggling at.
She's taking the piss out of it. For those listening, in the background, once again, is what I can only describe as the other person who does the narration on the start of our episodes. Well, no, I can just. I can describe her in many ways. She is my fiance.
Our disembodied voice.
Our disembodied voice in the back of the show, who. I don't know how I'm going to cope with the episode that she's going to be on. That's the thing.
Please make that like a meme. when your girlfriend asks about there's all new figures and you've no rent money. What?
All right, I couldn't get my words out. It's been a long day. You know, right, on most of the podcasts, if they've got somebody sat in the background who's usually like a producer type or something, they just sit there, maybe feed you some information like she has done in the past. This week, she's just taking the piss out of me. Well, that's where you've got a phone. You could have looked it up.
I've learned a lot from this episode. Mainly you going, what?
Right. So let's pick up from her. What do you think about the pirate theory, that it was pirates that have put treasure there?
The pirate theory makes sense for pirate stuff. It's weird. Like anything like Templar wise and like the random gold.
I like that. Makes sense for the pirate stuff. What? Fake DVDs?
Some slaves, some DVDs.
Dodgy copy of Cars 2.
I mean, that would be that was a time traveling pirates. But I meant like pirates of the time, like it was always gold, like metals, stuff like this that they were taking.
Precious metals, diamonds, and things like
jewels, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that would explain how that gets there. But like you've got other stuff that's there that would have shown up after the pirates. Because that's where the other things that they're assuming are there or have found sort of diverge. Because I like the pirate theory. Yeah, everyone said they buried treasure. There was never proof. Now we've got a location, possibly found it, but everything's moving hard to find.
Yeah.
And then there's the Marie Antoinette's jewellery being found there.
Yeah.
Which was after the days of piracy. Well, you know, Captain Kidd and Blackbeard and all the others.
But we don't know where they got their treasure from. They could have looted that from anywhere.
But yeah, Marie Antoinette, like, her jewellery was gone missing after, like, France's palace got ransacked. And we're talking, what, 1789? Which is towards the ends of the days of piracy.
Yeah, so maybe the pirates just joined in and sort of... Didn't it? I mean, it could have been right at the very end that they made this. But the thing that's still sort of standing out to me that hasn't really... And even now, I don't think has actually been explained. And I hope somebody's listening to this and thinking exactly the same. But the guys at the start, when they first saw the fire on the island, and then when they got there, there was nobody there. Who had lit the fire? Why was there a fire there? What was it about? Was it somebody who had finished burying the stuff and that was it, they were going, and he's just glimpsed the light? I mean, surely you would have seen a ship of some sort, or some sort of indication that there was somebody there not that long ago.
And then the whole every 10-foot platform thing screams too well planned and maintained to be a bunch of, pirates.
I don't know. Pirates would do stuff like that, though. So they've got markers on how far they've got to go to get down to the treasure. And that would be like stopping points for them to sort of wait. But it's when they get down to that 90-foot stone and you've got the message.
Why would a pirate be digging that deep?
Exactly. And that's where there's information that people
have you ever tried digging a 6-foot hole?
No, I can't say I have.
It's fucking tiring as shit.
I can't bother to dig.
It.
No, exactly.
But imagine having to dig 90 feet.
Exactly. Now you've got to ask though, was this stone real? Because
this is
no photo evidence of it.
The days before power tools, so you're digging with just a shovel.
Well, pirates did that though, didn't they? They'd have quite a few ships and quite a few people, and they would bring people who were...
Quite a few ships, quite a few people. Yeah, 10, 20 feet, fair enough.
They'd have slaves
beyond
as well.
That, why would you be digging?
That would,
but why would you need to spend that much time digging 90 feet down?
They had the Ark of the Covenant, they wanted to bury it. We don't know...
Did they know they had the Ark of the Covenant?
That's the thing, we don't know what treasure they had. So this whole pirate theory, as cool as it is, again, there are a lot of plot holes to it. Like you say, why are they digging that deep? What are they burying? What most pirates... I mean, granted, it's not like we see on Muppets Treasure Island where 2 spades and you've found the treasure. Ta-da! It's there. There you go. It's not like that. I mean, it was buried really, really well. I mean, even like Goonies, where, the ship was buried in a cave.
It was just a cave that they blasted shut, and that was it.
Yeah. So, maybe, but then again, what's making me think that it could have been pirates at the same time is the intricate work with the booby traps, which we know pirates were well known for setting booby traps in regards to burying their treasure. So it was very well hidden and very well protected. Pretty much, if I can't have it, no one can.
This is true. This was an ethos of this.
Exactly, which we know is a thing with, in the age of piracy. We know that. So, even though there are plot holes, there are a lot of sort of solid lines that sort of help me believe that it was pirates. And what they've taken, I mean, it could be anything. But, I mean, on the fact that it is pirates, what would you score that out of 5?
Okay, pirates out of 5 and give it a 3.
Give it a 3.
I feel like I couldn't say pirates weren't there or didn't bury things there.
Well, you can't say for sure pirates were there.
I just don't like the idea of the pirates having anything to do with what we class as the money pit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's too much work for pirates to have put time into because they weren't known for doing. Otherwise, we'd see similar structures to that, like 10 foot deep in other places.
I mean, we are coming to the very end of piracy, so I mean, maybe at this point they are desperate to hide it, and they don't care how deep they go down. They're burying this once and for all. So, to me, I think I'm with you with that one. I'm going to give it a 3. I like the idea that it was... sorry about that. Coffee coming back up. I like the idea it was pirates. And I think it's very much believable that it was pirates. But until I've seen evidence, I don't know. Now...
Yeah, there's things that could say possibly pirates, but nothing says definitely pirates.
Yeah, I think that's the same with all these, is none of them say for sure who it is. But there's been more evidence that it could have been the Knights Templar with the lead cross. the coins, the fact that they've gone all over the world to find Templar monuments and buildings and things like that. I'm seeing things that are very similar to what they find on Oak Island.
Okay, so if we're talking the Knights Templars from
Mm-hmm.
when after they disbanded and the ones that became Freemasons, so they were known as Knights Templars, but part of the Masons, they would have had the tools and the know-how to have built something like that every 10-foot
Yeah,
platforms and a possible vault, because we don't even know it was a vault, they just assume it was a
yeah.
vault that has the booby trap of the
Bearing in mind,
tunnels.
when you say as well with that, and you've got the box tunnels that are spread out in the shape, like finger tunnels, that'd also make sense because obviously the Freemasons worked with stone. That was the whole point, is that they were masons. They worked
Yep.
with stone, and that actually makes a lot more sense. And I'm not going to lie, I am leaning more towards the Freemasons. And I mean, it'd be an episode I'd love to do in the future about the Freemasons. I have a guy who's got a lot of information about the Freemasons who would like to come on as well. He probably would have been great for this episode, but obviously. He wasn't able to make it, and obviously we'll get him on in the future, especially when we do talk about the Freemasons, because he knows quite a fair bit. But with this, I don't know. I really leaning towards more sort of the Knight Templar and the Freemasons sort of being as one, bringing up all this old treasure that they stolen before, they were executed, and the whole thing was, the whole Knights Templar was basically put to rest. A lot of it does make sense, especially seeing as a lot of treasure did go missing.
My thing though is like, if the Masons and the Templars are the ones who buried it,
Yeah.
they would have had plans to go back to pick it up. And they had ample time between when it's assumably buried
Yeah.
and when people started digging there. And why they didn't do anything when, like, the first people were like, oh, we're digging a hole here where you buried something.
Yeah, that's the bit that's sort of like, again, the plot hole in it all. But it could be the fact that maybe there were more of a secret organization within these ranks. Didn't want to sort of put it. This is just speculation. Didn't want to sort of reveal anything because maybe the church are still watching. Maybe the church still want this, this treasure that was taken away from them. I mean, I don't know if it's still like that now. Maybe someone did tell them how to get it and they've lost it and they don't know how to get in. But some things just don't add up with all of it. Bits of it don't add up, but bits of it do add up. And even the series just sort of goes. You'll start the episode going, oh, the pit was built by pirates and they left a soul behind to guard the treasure. And then by the end of the episode, wasn't the Knights Templar who built the tunnels and built the treasure? Hang on a minute, stop flip-flopping, pick one or the other. Who was it? Who do you think it was? And I suppose until they find it, we'll never know. But again, I think the Freemason one is a good one. Now, what would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 5 for the Freemasons Knights Templar sort of crossover?
I gotta give it the same thing, because they are the ones, if anyone built, the money pit itself.
Yeah.
Like, they're my strongest suspicion.
Yeah.
But once again, it's like, how did they forget? Why did they forget? And what were they really planning to hide there? Like, I don't think it was Ark of the Covenant or Holy Grail, but somebody was hiding something there.
Yeah. You're giving it a 3. I'm going for a 4 on this one because I really like it. And I just think that with the stone road that they found predates the money pit. And all the bits of treasure that they have found on the island predates the discovery of the money pit and the first digging of the money pit. And there's lots of it that sort of date back to sort of 1400s, 1300s. They've found iron rods from ships that date back that far. It is quite interesting, and I suppose because you've not seen the series and obviously you don't know that much about it, that's not something that sort of jumps out to you. But to me, as like I say, a watcher of the series and the information that it's, they've physically got something, they've gone to a smith there to go, look at this, can you tell me what this is and what it was used for? Or they found bits of rock and stone, and they've sent it off to be sort of looked at and tested to be carbon dated, for them to come back and go, oh, it'll be anywhere between this time period. And then they can go back to the other thing that they found that they know is from that time period and match them up and go, right, these two were from the same time period, so something happened around this time, which could only mean it was 1300s. It must have been the Knights Templar. It couldn't have been anybody else. It's the 1300s. Who in the 1300s has got the know-how and the ships and the money to do this, compared to the Vikings who travelled? I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, they travelled the world and things like that, but there's no sort of physical evidence until within the recent years that we found that, Vikings did come to the Americas before any of our knowledge of how far they got. And that's the thing I find interesting. And I think there's just so much more mystery to it with every story that we tell, or every little bit of something that they find. There's always something new. Now, again, the other theory is the fact that, as we said about the parchment and things like that, is that the entire works of Shakespeare is down there. Let's talk about the items that are down there. So, what do you think about the entire works of Shakespeare? Do you think they're down there?
So the thing was, they're going off a piece of parchment that's incomplete because it got flooded, right?
Yeah. But they have actually managed
the entire
managed
works
to sort of
of
date
Shakespeare.
it, yeah.
Yeah, like the dating, I don't mind. There's no issue there. But the entire works of Shakespeare being there, considering it wasn't like it was just after his time, so it being there is not out of the blue. It's like maybe a big Shakespeare fan just shuffled it all together. Like, this is going to be my museum for my personal collection out on an island that no one else is going to get to see. I want the works of Shakespeare. He's my favourite writer. That I'm okay with. That I believe. Works of Shakespeare, most likely there. The thing I kind of feel like somebody's pulling at loose threads and coming to the wrong conclusion is apparently I think it was in a book in 1953. Someone called Pen Leary wrote that the money pit was used for the manuscripts that indicated that Francis Bacon was the author of Shakespeare's works. So it's not only now saying, yes, they were there, but it proves that Shakespeare was a fraud.
Wow. Then I tell you what, that would be something. I mean, what do you give that? The theory that the Shakespeare works are down there. What are you giving out of 5?
I mean, the fact that Shakespeare's works were preserved and put somewhere, and somebody thought it was a safe location, I would give that a 4 out of 5. Like,
yeah,
I believe it. A little bit more proof just to sort of top that off and make it, indisputable. But the fact that it proved that Shakespeare was a fraud. Like, somebody went way off. And that's how I feel like a lot of these Oak Island ones go. Like, there's something there, and someone's gone way off and said, like, oh, it proves that Shakespeare was a fraud. It was actually Francis Bacon.
The series is exactly the same. It does that. Like I say, it sort of entices you in with a little bit of something that sounds, oh, but last week we found this, and we believe that it was from pirates. Oh, great. And then by the end of the episode, it was aliens from planet Venus that came to Oak Island. And you're like, what? Make sense of this, please. How we brought aliens into that, I have no idea, but I managed to. But I don't know. I
thought you would have gone with Hollow Earth.
Yeah, I think with the works of Shakespeare, I'm going to give it a 3. I do believe there are books down there. I don't know what they are. I think until we've actually found more of the pages or anything like that, I'll wait. But again, that Shakespeare was a fraud. There's too much evidence to tell us that he wasn't. I'm giving that a 1. But the other one is one that a lot of people say is more realistic, more to the truth, and that what they believe they found in the money pit wasn't actually a pit at all. And well, it was, but it was a tar pit. And what they were doing is they were making a particular type of tar that England would only get at the time from sort of Sweden, and they used it to sort of repair ships and things like that. I believe it was pine tar. Now, Oak Island wasn't known for its pine trees in any way, shape, or form. Again, it was called Oak Island. But there's the theory that they were using the island to make their own pine tar, which they would use to sort of help fix up the ships. It was quite an expensive thing to make, and the money pit was how they drained it all, sort of got rid of all the rubbish, and that they used the coconut fibres for that to drain out all the excess that they didn't need and sort of pool it all down to the bottom and then bring it back up with a pulley system, because they found like whole like marks in trees and things like that where it had been roped for a pulley system. That again could also be that they were lowering something down, or they could be bringing it up. Now again, there's no definitive evidence, but obviously people don't want to say that we live in this weird and wonderful world. They want to have, this is what it was, this is the more logical reason, it's not treasure, shut up, that's it. And I think that is an ignorant way to look at things, because this whole show is about us looking at the weird and wonderful and knowing that this rock that we're on that's spinning through space is a bit more interesting and magical than, you know, the constant shit we go through on a day-to-day basis. We have these things to sort of make us wonder and sort of have that mystery about other things that have happened in the past. Now, with that, how do you feel? Do you think it was these tar pits, or do you reckon that's just sort of some bullshit story that just sounds more believable than anything?
It's a more believable bullshit story than the others.
Yeah.
Because let's imagine, like, the UK is now subservient to Sweden because they're the ones holding all the pine tar. You found a deposit of pine tar, but you don't want Sweden to know.
Yeah.
So you don't tell anyone. You start digging, and a government would have the resources and money to dig something like the money pit and empty it out, then set it so if anyone went to look for it, it floods, you never find it. Hey, we've just made a big hole in the ground that we can't fill with anything because then it's going to look odd. Let's use it as a depository.
Yeah.
We're going to stick crap in there to fill it up. It sounds like something a government would do, especially like you're talking while kings were still in play.
Yeah.
So this was like time of what? King George? No, before him.
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah. But, I mean, yeah, it is a more believable story, and it does make more sense, but I just think it's a proper cop-out that that's what it was. Again, there's no evidence that it was there. There's no evidence. I mean, they found evidence of pine tar on the island, but there's no pine trees, so they can't be making it.
They found coconut fibres, and there's no coconut trees.
That is very true. That is very true. Obviously, they've brought that from 900 miles away. But, I mean...
If pine tar was used on ships and ships got there, finding traces of pine tar isn't out of the blue.
No, exactly. I suppose the more we go on and the more that they find on the island, the more we get answers, but at the same time there's more questions that come from things. And again, as I've said on some other episodes, especially in this season, we are now at that age where I think that they might actually have answers. This has been going on for nearly 200 years, if not more, that they've been looking for this treasure. And I think we are literally on the edge of finding something substantial. Not just like a little coin, not just a lead cross. I think something substantial is going to happen within the next 2 to 5 years. I reckon they're going to find something. The guys on the island at the moment are so determined to find something that these people have put, their life on this. They've lost members. They had one of the guys who is part of the team. His son died of, I believe it was leukemia. All in the pursuit of this. Obviously, he wasn't on the island at the time. He was very poorly. And it's how they all sort
Are you saying the island gives you leukemia?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Just checking.
That's not what
That's
I'm
what
saying.
it sounded
The
like.
island didn't give it him. It's not Lost. It's not Lost. It's not the island from Lost. It could be the island from Lost. It really could be the island from Lost. Now, if a polar bear turns up,
it's been hit by storms, like freak storms before.
It has. But I think we're going to have to wait a while to find out what's going on. Do I believe there's a curse? No, not at all. But again, as well, I don't believe in the 90-foot stone. I like the idea. I believe that they think they found. I just reckon there might have been a rock there or something. Do I think that there's a cross laid out made of boulders on the island? Yeah, I do. But were they purposely placed there, or was it, was it the Knights Templar? Was it just the islands? Because the island's got loads of different types of rocks there. Were they just...
Could have been the Vikings. What do you know?
Exactly. Until they find any... I think once they find treasure, if they do, it's going to open up more questions. I don't just think finding the treasure is going to be the end of it. I think finding the treasure, they're going to be like, right, we found all this treasure, but it doesn't make sense because we've got this, 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 and this. And none of these time periods work.
Okay, so there was one other theory. So this is the last theory I actually found. That seemed to be a popular one online.
Yeah.
And it was a woman who wrote a book about it, which was the Oak Island Mystery Solved.
Yes.
Joyce Steely.
Yeah.
She claimed that the pits, the famous money pit, was apparently a giant storage vessel for tar.
Yeah.
So not where tar was made, but stored. And they were dug by the British Army in aid of construction and maintenance of ships, which explains all the tar, the coconut fibres, everything.
Yeah.
And the constructions were to maintain ships. It's like a lot of people online, like who've read the book, because I haven't found a chance to, do believe the theory, because there's apparently, she does cite sources that highlight various shipbuilding sites in North Carolina, with similar sort of storage pits.
Okay. I might have to read the book. We might have to do another episode at some point.
But read the book. I haven't read it, so I couldn't say, like, given what's mentioned from what I've read as the Cliff Notes online and from what other people comment on, it is the most likely scenario.
Right.
So we're talking like theories out of 5. I think that one's really close to a 5. I want to give it a 5 personally, because that's the one that feels the most believable.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 for now. I'll read the book and then come up with my own conclusion of it. But I think there might be a good place to end. Again, we've not really given you any answers. We've left you with a few more questions. But my advice is, if you are interested in Oak Island, do go and watch the series. It is amazing. The guys have been working quite hard looking for this treasure. They've been doing it for quite some time. It's been a lifelong dream of Rick Lagina, who was the first one who came up with the idea, who basically convinced his brother to do it. They've gone out, they've done it, they've completely changed the island, and it's just so interesting to see the passion behind what they do.
Don't do it. Don't watch it.
Watch it, it's great.
It's a trap.
I've got a few books I want to read.
They know there's nothing there. They're just recording and selling it for money.
I don't care. You know, the passion that these guys have, and to see them fight sort of the weather and sort of
Rich people looking for more money. I don't think we should be funding that.
And it's on History Channel. It's not even paid for.
Yeah, but they're still making money off it.
Yeah, well, you know, what can I say? Personally,
You dig a hole, you don't find anything in the hole, but then you sell the documentary of the hole. You've made as much money as what you would have presumably found in the hole that wasn't there.
I suppose so. But yes, we're going to leave it there. Remember, you can help support the show over on Ko-fi. It is on all our links on Linktree. You can, like I say, you can find our links on our Instagram, our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you watch or listen to the show. Like I say, we want to bring you video content. That's a full video show, but we can only do that with your support. We want to bring season 4 as a video. If we don't get there, we don't get there, but any support is massively helpful. At this moment in time, as we are recording, obviously this has come out in January, it's the new year. To me and Omer, it is the week before Christmas, whereas we record here.
If you saw the video, you can still see Christmas lights on Glenn's mic.
These are going to stay here permanently, I like them. We're going to take a 2-week break while we have Christmas and New Year, and then we'll come back and we're going to record more. We've got from where the episodes are, like I say, it's completely out of sync. We've got so many more special guests to come. We've had a few already. We've got some great episodes. I think that we've recorded 5 episodes now. So to me and Omer, as we are recording this, we're halfway through, and we've got another 5 episodes to record. But they are completely out of sync, so I don't want to say what's happened in one episode when it hasn't happened.
We can still quote season 1.
Yeah, but we did look at Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail in season 1. We do mention Oak Island there as well, only very briefly, because I wanted to do this episode. If you've liked this episode, please give it a thumbs up. If not, tell us why. Well, what can we change in the future? And if you do end up watching the series or reading one of the books, let me know. Tell me what you think. But apart from that, even though it's January to you guys, I'm going to say Merry Christmas to the listeners at this point. Happy New Year. Shalom. All that jazz. And
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Happy Kwanzaa. I don't know any other sort of holidays.
Happy Yule.
Yule, yeah. Yuletide, yeah. But we are going to be, like I say, 2-week break, but we're going to have some clips coming out soon. And obviously, as you listen to this, you're just thinking, guys, shut up. It's January. This episode might even air in February. You know, it could be March. I have no idea where this episode will come out. But thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this intriguing journey through the unknown. We've had a blast exploring mysteries, conspiracies, and the extraordinary with you.
If you've enjoyed our discussion and want to stay updated on our latest episodes, make sure to hit the subscribe button and share the caffeinated love.
And if you've got a conspiracy theory or an unsolved mystery and you'd like us to delve into it, don't hesitate. Drop us a line. We love hearing from you.
Until our next caffeinated adventure, keep sipping on curiosity and remember that sometimes the truth is hidden behind the most unexpected place. This is Omer.
And I'm Glenn, signing off from Caffeinated Conspiracies. Cheers, and until next time, take care, and may your curiosity never run dry.